Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome to the Monday meditation series. As always, every Monday we invite special yogi who has been on this path of spirituality for a long period of time. And on this day, we have a very special guest, Sister Sonja from Denmark, which I very closely relate to. She is somebody who wants to bring spirituality into action. Definitely, all Brahmins bringing spirituality into action, but she is bringing very close to what Baba is asking us to do, and very much the need of the hour to serve the elements. And she not only was serving the elements through her meditation, but also she's trying to make a difference in what the world also wants to do. The COP and the UN conferences that is happening on bringing the UN climate change and biodiversity conferences. So we will get to learn more about that, and also at the same time how. And one of the common themes that always we hear for the first time Brahmin who comes into Gyan is like, anyhow, the world is going to end. Why are we spending all this time and energy on this kind of stuff? But in fact, Baba says that you are the ones who are going to make this world a heaven on this earth. These elements are not going anywhere else. It's not going to vanish anywhere else. Whatever is the state of the world, state of the five elements, we have to transform that. And there is a lot of conscious people who are consciously want to make difference, who is trying to help us, help Baba through bringing this transformation. And today, Sister Sonja will take us not only her journey through spirituality, but also through the nature and how we can serve the elements more effectively, definitely with our thoughts, but also how can we make some lifestyle changes. And along with that, how can we bring Baba close to the five elements? Without any further ado, I invite Sister Sonja. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. And greetings from Denmark. And it's 3:30 here in the morning. And it's it's winter outside, and it's just around zero, touching minus. And we have a cold wave here in Europe at the moment. So I can see Ina, she's sitting in a t-shirt and it looks so nice.
Thank you very much for taking your special Amrit Vela time to spend with the Brahmin family here. Thank you very much. We also have Sister Elizabeth online. I think she is on too. Even if you're on, if you like to share, feel free to. I think she's a little away. Yeah, please continue.
So I'm very happy to meet all. Elizabeth is here. Okay, good morning. She's a good friend of mine. And I actually like to take this session into 3 parts, as you suggested, Harsha. And it's a 3 life-changing periods. And the first one is when I came to Gyan, of course. And the other one was around self-management leadership and some very deep personal changes. And the last one would be my encounter with spirituality and sustainability. So my name is Sonja, and I was brought up in Sweden on the countryside. My parents are farmers, and we have a huge forest in Sweden. And in old days, I didn't always was proud of telling that my parents were farmers, but in the recent years it changed a lot. Everyone says, wow, you're farmers, farmer's daughter. So the culture and what's in and out in society changes a lot. Also in the environment conference, I'm just saying as a note, you know, as Brahmins, we always bring our lunch pack wherever we go. And, you know, you try to eat it secretly somewhere. But what happened in the climate change conference, everyone is so tired of the 2 weeks conference, and everyone is quite tired of going to the restaurant. So when we take up our lunch pack, everyone is so jealous. Oh, you got homemade food. Oh, wow. And we start sharing some of the food. So things you maybe used to hide previously, nowadays it's very popular. So anyhow, I'm a farmer's daughter and my parents were Christian. And we never were very Christian in that sense. But I went to Sunday school and we were Christian and confirmation and so on. And I wanted my mum studied to become a nurse. So I thought I want to travel when I get older. So I also want to be a nurse because then I can travel and I can also help, especially children across the world. And when I was young, it was this horrible drought and famine in Eritrea and Ethiopia. And you might remember we used to have these horrible pictures of starving kids from Africa. So I thought, okay, I studied to become a nurse and I will go out to Africa and help out as much as I can. So I did that, and life took me to the main city, to Stockholm, and after some years I moved to London. I had a boyfriend there in London, and I was living and working in London. And in London I came across Brahma Kumaris. I had a little break from nursing, and because I had become vegetarian, and in London they had these famous whole food shops, they have whole food communities. And when I was young in Stockholm at that time, you could only get vitamin pills in terms of alternative food. It was all there was. So I moved to London and I got a job in a vegetarian shop in East London. And the manager there used to go to Brahma Kumaris. And slowly I found out that he was very different to everybody else. And I used to ask questions, but he didn't tell me very much. So he used to say that I'm giving the vegetables some old ladies Friday, Saturday evening after we close the shop, and whatever vegetables we have left, he used to say, I give them to some old ladies. And he used to take the vegetable to the center, but he didn't tell me. And he used to have a badge, and I asked, what's the meaning of that badge? And he said, you won't understand. But if you meet people like that, you should stop and talk to them. So every time I took the train in London, I used to go in extra compartment and look for the people with this badge. But I never found anybody. But slowly I found out that he did some meditation. And slowly I made my way to the center and I took the course. And I was in London in Tennyson Road. And the soul, well, it wasn't that interesting. And then we came to the lesson about Baba and about God, and I had become atheist in the meantime. You see, because when I worked as a nurse, once we had an incident where we had a little boy who was 5 years old and he had some infectious disease, so he was in respirator, and we had to close the respirator and he was leaving the body. And it was my duty in the in looking after the boys. So the priest was there, the doctor was there, the parents were there, and they closed the respirator and he left the body. And that made such an imprint on me, that how come children will have to leave the body in this way, and where is God in all of this? Because I was thinking he's only 5 years old, he hadn't had time to make any sins or anything. And I didn't know about reincarnation. So I didn't think it was fair. So next day I went to the church office and signed out from the Christianity. And I was 18 at that time. So I left the church. And then I thought I'll try to help the world by kind of engaging in some political work. But then I couldn't choose which part of the world to help, if it was going to be Nicaragua or Afghanistan or South Africa. And I thought, how can I put one kind of people above the other group of people? So who is going to get my time, attention, money, demonstrations? And I didn't know from which criteria to choose. So I ended up doing nothing. I was just lying on the sofa and being a normal teenager, because I didn't know what to do. So anyhow, I had moved to London and started to work in this whole food shop. I started the course. So when we came to the lesson about God, I wasn't very interested. But then we came to the lesson about the cycle. And I thought, wow, this is so special. You can explain the whole world history in one image. I thought it was just amazing. And I had this experience that you kind of lift the curtain of your intellect for a moment. You understand the time and the cycle and the tree in a flash of a moment. And then that curtain of the intellect goes down again. And I thought, wow, you can, all the religions and all the people of the world can fit into one tree. And no one is better than the other, and everyone has their own part in the tree. And I thought it was just amazing. So I started to continue because of that. And then I thought I'll try this morning class in London. And no one had explained really to me about drishti or how to do it. So I used to have a motorbike at that time. So I took the motorbike early morning across London, and I came early, and I was a bit shy. So it was about maybe 100 people there. So I was sitting at the back of the class, and the people were coming and going all the time. Some come late, some go early. It was like a community hall before they built Global Cooperation House. So I thought, wow, this is like sitting in Liverpool Street Station, people coming and going. How are they going to meditate here? So I thought, I will not do this again. I'll try it one more time, but I'm not going to renounce my sleep in this, such a place. But I said, I'll try tomorrow and go and sit in the front. So I did. I tried next morning. I went to sit in the front line. And I had all black clothes, and all the sisters were sitting in white there. And somehow I didn't notice it. Yeah. So I went and sat straight front. And then Sister Jenti came up on the gadi and to guide meditation. And no one had explained drishti to me. So I saw she sitting with open eyes. I looked around and saw what the others were doing. And they were looking at her. So I thought, okay, I'll look at her also. So I had drishti the first time. And then I just felt this very big wave of peace. And I thought, wow, I can feel so peaceful. And I had one thought, I can sit here for the rest of my life. And here we are 35 years later, I'm still sitting here. in the center. And that was a big thought for me, because I'm always on and around and about and doing things. And then I looked in her eyes again, and I thought, this power of peace I'm experiencing, I don't think it's coming from her, actually. I think it must be coming from elsewhere. So I thought, maybe there is a God after all. And then I thought, if she can tap into the power of God, then I also like to do it. So that's how I started my spiritual journey. And then I moved back to Sweden, and we started a center there. No, we didn't start. There was a center there already, so I engaged in the center. And then I came to Copenhagen in 1988. I came here to Denmark to help out in the center here, and I've been here since. So that's now many years ago. And it's been a fantastic journey with Baba. And if there is, I don't regret anything. I don't have any regrets. I mean, of course, I can always meditate more. And I think we all can. And maybe that's always nagging somewhere in the back of the mind that, wow, I could have more yoga. I could do more effort. Baba has very high aims for all of us. But if there was one thing I would have changed, it would have been to start on working on self-respect a bit earlier than I did. And I think that's one of the signs of an old soul and being through the whole cycle, is that you're pretty traumatized and loss of self-respect for half a cycle. Whatever we have touched has just gone down the drain, so to say, because that's the energy of the cycle. Whatever big projects, whatever we have worked with, it's a slow degeneration in everything. And because we have the golden age in the back of our mind, it has taken its toll on the soul to go through the cycle. And I think it has become like, when I started to work as a nurse, they used to say that the biggest disease amongst the population is back pain. That was the most common thing people came to the doctor for. But nowadays, I think it's loss of self-respect and loss of good feelings for the self. And even if you're in Gyan or not in Gyan, it's still very apparent in many people. But I had two very big experiences, and one was in the 90s, where we did the self-management leadership course. And the self-management leadership course we used to do together with some consultants, Mark from France and Brian from Australia. And we ran these self-management leadership courses for about 10 years or something. But the first time I did that self-management leadership course, it was a 1-week course in Global Retreat Center in Oxford. And we were asked this question: what's the purpose of your life? And I had that was a very special question for me, because I thought up until now, I'm kind of thought I'll give my life to Baba, and Baba can decide where I go, where I sit, where I eat. You know, that's sometimes in the Murlis, whatever Baba puts me, I'm happy. And that was very good, because that's how I live my life. But then when I started to think that I also have the power to create, I can create my life, I can create my directions, I create when I take decisions. So I said to Baba, okay, you know, I give my life to you, and it will continue to that. But I also have a little share where we want to go, you and me together. And it was like a wake-up call for me somewhere that we are creators. And every time I think, I actually create, and that's what makes us creative human beings. And the smallest piece of creation we do is every thought we have. And in the self-management leadership course, they asked this question, what's your purpose of life? And we have to do an exercise on it. And I thought, wow. And the part of the question was, what happens to people around you when you enter the room without you even thinking about it or knowing about it? So I thought, okay, my purpose is to serve the world, like Baba says, but in the middle of all of that, I like to create hope wherever I go. So a hope would be part of my purpose in life. And then when you say something like that in your own mind, something very special happens, because then I started to understand some situations and some people I met in my life. Because if I say that hope is the purpose of my life, then I also understand why I always end up in hopeless situations. So let me give you an example. For example, I'm a nurse, and I worked with the GPs for all my life. I worked in the hospital for some time, but the last 20 years, I worked together with general practitioners, the home doctor, as a nurse in the clinic. So I know the doctors very well. And when you take a decision to become a doctor, you would also say, I will work with sick people all my life. I will work with illnesses all my life. And then you see what happens, that the more ill a patient is, the more life somehow it becomes for the doctor. The more complicated the illness is, the more enthusiastic they get. Because then they have to look up into the books, they have to ask the others, they have to find out how to solve this case. And they don't question why they meet so many sick people. Oh, why am I meeting so many sick people in my life? No, they took a decision to work with sickness and illnesses. So if I say to myself, the purpose of my life is to be loving and share love, for example, then that's what I'm good at. That's how Baba can use me. And then, of course, I will meet many people who are non-loving, because that's where I will do my job. That's where I will do my work. And so I decided that my purpose would be around hope, and that I also suddenly understood why I end up in so many hopeless situations. And for example, in my Lokik life, I worked as a nurse, but I also worked in the psychiatric department, and many sad stories you meet. And in the recent 25 years, I also worked in the prison here in Copenhagen. So I'm actually government employed meditation teacher in the prison service and probation. So I got a letter of certificate from the government for 25 years service. And sometimes they have a psychiatric department in the prison, and I think that's how the bottom of society, you're both criminal and psychiatric, and I go there, and we have positive thinking and meditation and yoga. So I thought, okay, that's where I'm working. Here's the hopeless cases. And that's where I can bring a little bit of hope. And in some encounters, in some places, I suddenly understood. And when one stopped asking this question, why? I preserve a lot of energy. Why is this happening to me? Why am I meeting these people? If I understand this, why I'm meeting these people is because I can give something here. Then I stop asking the question why and get to work, so to say. And that saves a lot of energy and actually can bring some more enthusiasm, I feel. And so that's how we started this environment, in the leadership courses for me. So that I started to teach, and we did that for many years here in Copenhagen. And I thought maybe you wanted to stop for some meditations in between.
That will
Harsha?
be great. Yeah, that will be great. And then we can, if anyone have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and then we can make it more interactive.
Okay, so I'll guide some thoughts. Yeah. So ask everyone to stop for a moment. To go deep within. Make sure the body is relaxed. Your legs are soft and heavy. The stomach is relaxed. And the shoulders especially. Yeah, they come down. Relax your hands and arms. Relax your neck. And the muscles in the face. The muscles in the forehead. Around the mouth. Relax the jaw. You can imagine for a moment that you're breathing with your heart. Imagine that your heart is the lungs. So I breathe deeply through my heart and calibrate my heart. You can also imagine that I breathe through the soul. You move the breathing to your forehead and you breathe in and out through the soul. So I slowly move my attention to the third eye, and I remember who I am. And now move into the soul. Being, feeling, seeing as a soul. And I ask myself, what's going on deep inside myself? I try to listen to myself as a soul. What do I hear? I just need to listen. No need to give advice or justify or put away any thoughts. As a good friend to myself, let me just listen. What's happening inside? And whatever is going on, I embrace myself. I give love to the self. And I encourage myself as a soul moving forward. And I relax. And then I relax a bit more. And I invite peace. And I can feel that deep inside, I'm a peaceful soul. And I accept whatever is going on. I accept with peace, with understanding, and with love. And slowly I come back, take a deep breath, and return to this program. Mm. Mm. So thank you very much. And
So I
if any-
have one quick question. Maybe you can elaborate on that. So
Mm.
one of the thing you mentioned, you helped souls in the psychiatry department and also in the prisons, where somebody has gone through a really tough time, not only physically, but especially in the psychiatry department, somebody have gone to severe trauma and struggling through. I mean, we cannot tell that or think positive or things like that because grasp they don't have grasp on their own mind. So now we see more and more of that happening, not just in psychiatry department. It's getting more common, depression, anxiety. suicidal instincts are much more higher nowadays, not just in the older, but more often in a younger generation. So do you have any insights from your own service that you do there, and something that we can practice and make things a little better to get through the changing times?
Actually, it's a very good question, so thank you for that. And today you have a new diagnosis, climate anxiety, especially with the young people, and they call it climate depression, climate anxiety, climate rage. And there is a special alliance of psychologists who's called climate anxiety, climate psychologist and alliance, where they focus on the state of the mind of the young people. And what's happening today is that the young people realize that they have no future. So they realize that with the present condition and with the present speed of political decisions on the world and the global warming and fossil fuels industries, we have 10 years left, was the latest number from the last climate change conference, was in Egypt. And officially it didn't say, but unofficially the climate scientists that said if we continue to pollute in the present, with the present speed as we're doing at the moment, within 10 years the planet will be inhabitable. You can't live on it. They call it hothouse Earth. And so the young people say, okay, I've got 10, 20 years left, and why should I take an education? Why should I think of creating a family, you know? So they give up some kind. And some people, when they give up, they become very passive and indifferent and don't do anything. And some people get anxiety, some people get very angry. And so we're working on a compendium on how Baba can help young people at the moment with, in this kind of affairs. And but my work in the psychiatric and in the prison, it's not directly related to climate as such, it's just in general. And you know, I heard one story once that touched me very much, and that was a woman who worked with psychopaths. And you know, psychopath is a heavy diagnosis, and there is no treatment for being a psychopath. It's often you have some serious relational care issues as a baby. You are not cared for, there's little abandon, or the emotional need in babies are not looked after. And that creates such serious problem that you can't reach there with normal therapy. So there is no cure for that. And some of them, because of not feeling the same limits and emotions like most people, they also end up criminals. And I read about a doctor who had very good results. They became better, felt better, and they could even start some therapy, etc. So I read an interview what that psychiatrist did different. And she said, I realized one day that it could have been me. And only that attitude change made a big difference on my relationship to these people. So I created a relationship of friendship, and that kind of friendship helped them. So I think that really touched me that it could have been me. So I think in general, when I still work in the prison at the moment, I just go there and I don't try to change anyone. I've given up trying to change anyone. I just come as I am, and I become friends with them. And that's it. And I find it works very well to come close to people, so close that you can have a positive influence on anyone, is to have an attitude that it could have been me. So there is not them and us. And also I just think I don't want to change anyone. They can be exactly how they want. So I come here, and you see, if I think that of other people, they can be exactly as I want, then I can also be as I want. And then people can relax. You see, if you're together with someone and they feel you're trying to change them, they would also feel I'm not good enough, because you're subtly saying you're not good enough. And then there is a little tension. So when you come and meet anyone, and you just say, okay, you can be exactly as you want, you're good enough, and not trying to change anything, then it's a kind of equal relationship, and people can relax and you can listen. So I find that a very healing method, just to listen and not to give too many advice. I've taken this kind of little guideline for myself. I'm happy to give advice to someone if they don't ask for it. So I'm there, I'm a friend. If they ask anything, I reply, but otherwise we're just friends. And that is a very healing atmosphere. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if Elizabeth wanted to say anything about hope, because hope is such an important question. And when I started to work with the environment, I realized after a while, wow, this is the most hopeless situation of all. So no wonder I'm here. So Elizabeth, if you have anything on hope, you're most welcome to share.
Hello, Sonja.
Hello.
Thank you. I just love your story. It's just so wonderful. Your big-heartedness, your big vision, you know, and how to help everyone. You can't pick even, but then of course now you're doing unlimited service.
Well, we all are. We all are.
I have a question though for you. You know, a lot of people will say, you know, that the climate change and environment, it's just too much. It's like, you know, how do you feel? You feel overwhelmed, and whether it's the public or those Brahma Kamari students or even teachers. And, you know, how do you give hope for them, or how do you give patience in the sense, oh, why should I do anything? It's all going to, you know, transfer and change anyway. So what methods do you give to these souls, you know, so that they can understand the impact that not just our carbon footprint has, but our karmic footprint?
Thank you. I think I'll take the long story of the environment from the beginning, and then I will touch on this, if it's okay, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So, I'm talking about helping everyone. You know, I wanted to become I studied to become a nurse, to travel in the world and help. And when I met Brahma Kumaris, they said, no, before you help the others, you have to help yourself. And I thought, wow, that sounds boring. and less glamorous. I thought I'll rather travel to the world and help other people than starting on myself. And I thought, how boring. But okay, I can see their point. But it's not as glamorous, is it?
Yeah, that's interesting. You use that word too.
Yeah.
That it's not as glamorous. Interesting.
Yeah, because in my mind, you go to Africa and you make a difference, and you see. But actually, maybe they don't need you there in the end. You know, you got to work where you come from and where you live. But these thoughts that I got them later. So I started on the long journey of self-transformation, which is just endless. But anyhow, in 2008, I think it was, we started to read in the newspapers here in Copenhagen that there was going to be a big climate change conference in next year in 2009. About 1.5 years before we got to read it in the papers. So I studied and looked online and everything, and I found out there was going to be a big UN conference on climate change here, and the whole world was going to come. Every country sent their representative. And I thought, wow. We also learned that Obama was going to come so later on. So I thought, wow, then Baba should also be there. If the whole world is there, why are we not there? So I looked into everything, and you needed to be an accredited organization. And I thought, I had a chit chat with Lotta. Here's my BK friend from Sweden. And I said, we can't just participate in a conference, then we have to do something internally also. It's hypocritical to look up, just participate in a conference if it's not really from within. So it actually means starting two big movements. One is to have something to share with the world, and the other is to clear up your own organization in these matters. And how are we going to do that, just the two of us? And she said, I'll help. So I wrote a letter to the European centers in the mail. I asked if anyone wanted to help, and I didn't get any reply. I got one reply from one sister saying that the mail was too long. And I thought, well, that's encouraging. And somehow then I started to speak to some of my friends in France and Holland, and we ended up being 4 people here in Copenhagen, January 2009. Arnold and Louis from Holland, and Renaud from France, and me. And 2 of them have left the body, actually. And we decided, okay, we will start Brahma Kamari's Environment Initiative. And we asked one sister, Judy Rogers, if she could write a paper. And we asked one designer if they could make a logo for us. And we got someone to open a web page. Because you see, we didn't have anything. No. Brahma Kumaris had been involved in environments, various areas before, but there was nothing organized, no collection of articles or papers, no message, no design, no people, nothing. But we got very good help, and we also applied to become accredited, and it took us half a year, and we got a yes. So we had a paper, we had accreditation, and we ended up participating in the conference. And I, as a person, I had no idea about the connection between spirituality and the environment and climate change. I just didn't understand. So I said to Baba, you got to help me. I sit down, looked at the Trimurti picture, and I looked at all the old Guyana pictures and said, it's got to do something with balance, it must be something with balance somewhere. And then we started a team here, 4 people, not all BKs, just close friends to the center who were interested, and we started a churning group. to go deep into the topic. And then we started to prepare for the conference, and suddenly Sister Jenti says, I'm coming to support you. This is in Europe. I will come for 2 weeks. And I thought, my God, we are 6 PKs here in Copenhagen, or 8. And suddenly this person wants to come, this person wants to come, and I had nowhere to put them. And all the hotels were taken by the government. So, and if you're a small family, to have Sister Jenti for a weekend is a big thing. And here she coming for 1.5 weeks, I think. And then I got to know also that it's very interesting. In the beginning, people were challenged to get engaged with the environment. So Sister Jenti got questioned, why do you want to give so long time to such a logic topic as environment? And Golo came here and talked about solar, and he also shared when he started to work on solar, people challenged him and say, why don't you sit and meditate rather than working with steel and technology? And I met some sisters who were told when they came to Gyan that you shouldn't go for walks in nature anymore, you'll have to sit. You have to sit and meditate instead. So I understood, okay, we also as an organization somewhere lost touch with nature. And so we started this, and the conference itself was a big success. And we had a stall here called Consciousness and Climate Change. And people passed and we were the first spiritual organization. The religions had been there, and they had taken up the values and climate change, care for nature, a stewardship. The Christians talks a lot about stewardship. It's God's creations and we are stewards. And our BK word would be trustees, like we are trustees on the environment. But before the values, you have a set of consciousness. So the consciousness bit was never taken up. And nowadays in the climate change, they talk about mindset. You have to change your mindset. Before the values, there is an attitude, an outlook, a mindset. So we addressed this topic, and finally we also said that your thoughts have an impact on the environment, because actually with your thoughts you create your life and you take your decisions. And every time you spend a penny, you invest that penny in the old system or in the new world. What you buy, how you buy, what foods you buy. And I also started to understand that to become a vegetarian is the greatest, has the biggest impact an individual can have on the environment, is to go vegetarian. It even have greater impact than your travels. So in a sense, it's better to go vegetarian and keep your car. And all these new things were new for me. And after that climate change conference in Copenhagen was a big success, is that I was really tired and I wanted to do nothing. I think it took me 4 months to recover after that conference. It was such a big job. And I had no plans to continue because it's in your center and you do your duty. But then Sister Jenti said that we should do a green retreat in Europe. And I said, I'll help first time and then they can continue. And she said, you should do next conference. And I said, I only do it if you come. So I somehow, this topic, but the topic engaged me. So I like the topic and I like the people I meet in the climate change. They are not necessarily looking for God, but they are looking for the new world. So they also search us. And they search for the same as we search for a world of harmony. And some of them are very angry because, you have all these statistics and they're all going in the wrong way. And the civil society have less and less space in the public arena, and less and less funding, but still the statistics and everything goes in the wrong way. And you watch it and you don't know what to do. And we have the cycle to put in it and to understand what's going on at the moment. But imagine to look out on these climate change statistics and having no cycle to put it in and no framework. It's quite horrible. And then if you become scared, you become angry. So I could feel Baba's message and Baba's peace and just the spirituality and the individual things really made a difference. So we continued, and now it's 13 years later, and my one folder on the laptop has so many folders. It's kind of taking my every minute I have on my service life, you can say. And it's been a fantastic journey. But one of the biggest hurdles is then, of course, we are such a big institution, and to green such a big company, you can say, if you call it company, it's a massive task. So coming back to this attitude that why care if everything going under, I have two answers which I normally give. And one is as being a nurse, you know, if you're a nurse. I used to work in the old people's home. And I feel that the planet has become an old lady. We call her Mother Earth, right? She's a mother and she's really old now. She's an old lady and she's in old people's home and she's not very well. But as a nurse with the old ladies in the old people's home, you don't just leave them, do you? You go and turn them over every hour, and when they can't eat anymore, you feed them spoon by spoon. And you clean them, you turn them over, you go in there, you sit and you pat their heads and you listen to them and you do whatever they can so the last days will be most comfortable. And if you wouldn't care for the older, you would have a problem somewhere in your caring. And it's the same with Mother Earth. She's an old lady. I can't just leave her, right? And we have to care as a nurse. So you don't take on the suffering of the patient, but you're there to give love and you're there to help out. And the other thing is that whatever will happen to the planet, we are also interested to create the right sanskaras for the golden age. So if I have a sanskara, so I don't care about matter and the planet, because it might not be here soon, I only care about myself and other human beings, then my sanskaras of care is not very deep. So, and that won't take you to the golden age. So if I care, then it has to come from within, and I'm not selective. I care for this and not for that. So unlimited, unconditional care. Care is a part of life. So that also means I care for the body. It also means I care for the house I live in. And I'm not sure your background is real, Harsha, or if it's artificial. But, you know, if you have plants, you would care for the plants. See, there is many plants there. And you care for whatever you do. And you do it naturally. So I would, of course, care for Mother Earth. It would be the most natural thing to do, because we have lived here the longest time of all and we use the resources. And we are so interconnected with matter that it's kind of hard to separate sometimes, isn't it? If you think of the body, we need air to breathe and we need food to eat. And without the body, we can't make effort. And the state of the body affects our mind, and our mind affects our body, and it's happening all the time. So I had to get this mind-matter relationship sorted out. And Baba teaches us is mind over matter. So in a sense, you can say my body is a reflection of my mind. And we know that. And all the karma we have with our body might not be from this birth, it might be from previous births. And so I might not always know what's going on, and I don't know what karma I'm clearing and I'm dealing with. But somewhere I've got to start. I got to start to fix my relationship with matter. And my work with the environment and serving with the climate change helped me personally with that. To appreciate matter, to care for it, but not to be attached to it. Which is like, it's like what the nurses have to do. You have to care from your heart, but you have don't be attached to the patient or be too influenced by them. And you see, we have come back to this detached and loving, and where detachment and love becomes the same thing. And I think we owe the planet that. It has served us for so long. And often Daddy Yankee comes back to my mind. And, you know, she always used to say, don't waste your breath, walk gently on earth. And you also asked about if we need to give sakash to the elements. But actually, I feel that the planet doesn't need anything from us in the sense. My understanding is that to be pure is the greatest gift I can give. And purity will in itself harmonize the elements. When the elements are pure, they're in order. And when they're impure, they are chaotic. Like the weather is chaotic at the moment because it's impure. And purity is everything is in order. So if I bring my mind and my order, my relationship, mind and matter in order, if I work on my purity, I will have a positive impact on matter wherever I go and whatever thoughts I send. So I see time is clicking. I don't know what time we have to finish, but I like to do another meditation. And I also like to hear from everyone. We are always looking for green angels from the center who try to help the centers to run in a sustainable way. And I know in the retreat center, Anubhuti, you're doing a lot of green work. And I'm sure Elizabeth also is doing it some way. And all the practical things you can do, they are very different to where in the world you live. But if you're very interested, you put one hit on Google, Sustainable Life in San Francisco, and you will have so many replies. And on our website, we have so many guidelines. And I feel it takes a group in the center with a little bit of interest who start churning together and get the link and the meditation, understand it, and then it's natural. And you also said it's overwhelming, but there is something called feel-good factor. And when we started in the Copenhagen, the climate change, to prepare for the climate change conference, everyone, all company, all hotels, everyone went green to prepare for the conference. So we also did. We changed the cleaning products, we changed the paper, we changed the light bulbs. We did that to prepare for the conference. And then I thought to myself, I will not say anything. How we're going to continue after the conference. I will not say anything. I will see what happens if people revert to old behavior. Like what normally happens if it doesn't come from your own will, when the pressure is off, you would revert to old behavior. And I thought, I will not say anything. I will see what happens. And after half a year, 1 year, people were still using eco-friendly cleaning products. They've gone vegan, they've gone paper. And I said, why actually did you continue? And they say, it just feels better. So you have this kind of feel-good factor somewhere which has to come in to sustainable lifestyle, the way you eat, the way you transport, because then it will become natural and you continue. And maybe it takes a little bit of pressure in the beginnings, like Jan, you know, you in the beginning, all the discipline might not be comfortable. But after a while, you feel comfortable, it feels better. So there is a kind of hurdle to get over in the beginning, and that you can get through easier as a group. So I like to stop here and then just talk about environment and lifestyle with some of you, whatever you want to say. Elizabeth, was that a reply to your question?
It was perfect. You're just so honest, so practical, very doable, you know, steps. Thank you so much. We're busy here. We're getting ready for our concert for tomorrow.
Oh, you have a concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear Fern in the background playing piano. We're getting the technical, but we'll definitely have to say something, the gift we can give, because it's winter solstice soon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In a couple of days. And you really helped me, or reminded me actually, what's important and how we can incorporate simply, easily a message, and also practical, like we're going to have refreshments we're going to serve, and how we serve them, what kind of plates we would use, you know, and then, yeah, thank you.
People actually notice these things nowadays. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the single-use plastic, even Madhuban is going out of single-use plastic. So.
Oh, great.
So it's coming there. In India, they have this slogan. You could probably know it in Hindi, some of you, that if you protect the environment will protect you. I remember was a brother in Malban. He didn't agree on the environment service, and nothing worked. I tried everything I tried with you, and finally I said, if you want to be protected in the end, you have to protect the environment. Otherwise, the elements will not protect you. And that got him. He got scared. And then he realized. So that's my final draw.
Yeah, that was very true. In India, we have, I mean, growing up, we always hear that statement. And if you see in India, every home has at least one plant taken care. And then you take care of the tree will take care of you. That was it is part of the ritual there.
It's karma in a nutshell, you can say.
And we also have Sister Diane, who is spreading powerful vibrations in Anubhuti. I'm sure if she was in a place, she can share some thoughts. Sister Diane is there too. Yeah.
Oh, she's here, Diane. Hello. We had Living Values Education workshop in Egypt.
Oh, it was so wonderful. And they did such a beautiful job, Sonja.
Yeah, they did. Yes, we worked a lot on it. So I know you were there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. No question.
Yes. Oh, hello.
I don't know if you can see me. I'm in the dark. I'm in my car, but I've been listening since the very first beginning, and I loved hearing the beginning of the DK environmental initiative. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Actually, Diane has a big part in my life. You might not even know, but I had some Maya in Madhuban, and I took Diane for a walk around Naki Lake. And I said, you know, everything I do, it's like Baba, you know, it's Baba, Baba, Baba. And then Diane said, no, half of it is yours. So don't say thank you to Baba everything. You say we did it well. Not that you did it well, but we did it well. Me and Baba
Yes.
together. It's not
Yeah,
only him and it's not only me, it's us together. And
yes,
this,
faith and enthusiasm, and then Baba gives us all the help possible. It's
Yeah.
just wonderful to love.
yeah, I have a feeling I know why the environment thing ended up in my lap, because a few years prior, I met a sister in Madhuban, and we talked about this, that when you make a mistake, I sit down and I say, "Sweet Sonja," until the bad feeling is gone. So I do the opposite. I don't become tough on myself or give myself a hard time. I do the opposite. Like if the children fall, or they do a mistake, the best parent would just take them and comfort them, right? Until they feel good again. And when they feel good again, you can have a kind of serious talk to them. But I've seen horrible cases in the doctor's clinic, people becoming angry on the kids when they fall over or break something, and it just makes everything so much worse. So whenever I had a bad thought or said something stupid or something I regretted, I used to sit in my favorite meditation space and say, "Sweet Sonja." And I give it to Baba, and I sit and say, I wouldn't leave it until I feel good again. And this I used for it's quite some years. And I have a feeling it's a kind of attitude change in my head. And I use it, that's how made it, this environment service, preparing the ground for all of that, sadly. Because so many mistakes is happening in the world. I find it hard to watch sometimes, the corruption and slowly degradation of animals and nature, and everything suffering so much. It's hard to watch. So I need this attitude of sweetness.
Then we can.
I was thinking I would play one of the Green Angel meditations online. What do you think about that?
Sure. Yeah.
We have a website called Yogis for Future. I will put it in the chat when we leave. And there is a meditation there from the Green Angel collection called My Story with the Environment, with Nature. I breathe deeply and slowly, and I relax. With every breath, I breathe in peace. I reflect for a moment on the fact I breathe the same air as all other people on this planet. The planet's resources give life to us all. I appreciate being part of the same story, along with the Supreme Soul, souls, animals, and Mother Earth.
Now, place the earth in my hands. I hold her, Mother Earth, in my hands. And whilst holding the planet in my hands, I connect to the Supreme Soul, to the Creator, and I open my soul to the purest energy of all. I let this pure energy flow through me and reach the earth in my hands. I restore harmony and beauty on earth with these pure thoughts.
So, Om Shanti.
Thank you for taking us to Madhuban. It was beautiful. Thank you for taking us closer to Mother Earth, our good old grandmother.
Yeah. Someone asked actually in the chat about the Kalptaru tree project, and that's the latest tree plantation project. A rural wing has planted trees for 25 years in India. And yeah, hello Halima, Om Shanti.
Feel free to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all happening, a lot of tree plantation. So it's just amazing.
Anyway, I wanted to say that I absolutely enjoyed every moment of your presentation because you're such a pure soul. You're, you're just beautiful. That's all I can say. And what you're doing is so beautiful. And it really touched my heart. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's what we want. We want to touch each other's heart because then change happens.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonja. You were making me cry most of your talk. It was so beautiful.
You're making me
touch my
cry. Yeah, that's healing tears, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And especially I like the point where you're sharing you don't want to tell anyone, but you want to inspire them and then ask them to try it for themselves and see if they're really doing it. That's a powerful technique. They have all the information.
I just wanted to say another thing you said that really resonated with me was when you went in with prisoners or people that were considered maybe dangerous or whatever, and that sense of it could be me. And then just letting go of everything and not having any expectation, but just being friends and listening. I learned that a lot from Diane too, with the active listening, and just keep trying to practice that. But that point that you brought up was so powerful and so beautiful and so true.
Because, if people start giving me advice, which I haven't asked for, I don't like it, right? Most people don't like it, actually.
Yeah.
So why give it, do any to others? Actually, I find if I give advice people haven't asked for, I'm mostly speaking to myself anyway.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
Carla, you want to say something?
Thank you, Sister Sonja. I love the what you say about the earth is an old lady and all we can do is just care for it, And I thought it was a really good, beautiful point. And also all the service that you do with your stage and your smile. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Om Shanti, and hope to see some of you in Madhuban, and keep caring for the earth and help Elizabeth in it.
See you, Sonja.
See you. Om
Thank
Shanti.
you.
Thank you.